started playoffs a little bit earlier, like the Scott Fish Bowl, but for about 80%. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to need some help, Shawn.
I'm one of them.
They're going to need a lot of help today in terms of getting into the playoffs. Now, don't forget, folks, we're only going to go a little bit over an hour. So if you want to guarantee that your question gets answered, then use the super chat capabilities and we will guarantee that things get answered. All right, I accidentally pushed a button and I pulled up Rougarous, but before we get into that, Shawn, we're going to get into some weather stuff that it's important that our folks are aware of because there's been mixed reports throughout the week. Here's the latest as of about 45 minutes ago. Tennessee at Cleveland, freezing temperatures, winds only about 10 miles an hour, a good chance of snow showers during the game. Overall, though, expected to be a small impact. Cincinnati at Buffalo, temperature around 30, light winds, good chance of snow throughout the game, but expecting that to be a small impact. Chicago at Green Bay, temperature in the teens, but no real wind of any significance there. So the real issue there is, are they going to break fingers trying to catch that football when it's thrown to them? 30s is one thing, teens is a whole nother thing. Houston, Kansas City.
Yeah, that's when the ball hits your hand on that. It doesn't feel good at all.
Houston, Kansas City, temperature in the 20s, small impact probably. Indianapolis and Jacksonville, right now there's a potential for heavy rain throughout this game. Calling that one a medium impact because it's supposed to be not just your typical rain, but some severe thunderstorms and all periodically throughout. A little bit concerned about the passing game, but should help the running game there and should help our linebackers in front seven in that game. And then New Orleans at Tampa, chance of rain very late in the game, may even hold off till after the game, so not really much of an impact there. So it was expected to be a lot worse than what I just described, but as of, and weather's been known to change, but as of about 45 minutes or so ago, that is the weather outlook for those different locations.
Yeah, because that Tampa game was expected to be like thunderstorms, delayed during the game, most likely. But it's good to see that's moving on out.
Yep, knock on wood for that one. Now, on the injury side of things, let's talk about who's in first. At linebacker, Quay Walker in. Isaiah McDuffie moved back to number 3. TJ Edwards and Noah Sewell back. So those hoping for some DeMarco Jackson or Amen, and his last name starts with an O and it's got too many letters to pronounce. That one, I would not count on either one of those two. Patrick Queen is in after, the way he left the game with a hip injury. It was last week. It was concerning, but he is in. Has Peyton Wilson implications for sure. Aziz Al-Shahir, who I left with what was thought to be a concussion, is in. Jalen Carleys is activated from IR. Shawn, any concerns about impact of Jermaine Pratt this week?
Not a single concern.
Okay. So if Carleys plays, you think he's the third linebacker at this point? Or just special teams?
Yeah, I could see him being maybe getting a few snaps as a third linebacker, but special teams at probably is the ceiling right now because he's missed all this time. That's off season, regular season, preseason. I don't even know why they activated him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so we'll be keeping an eye on things if there's a surprise, but right now we do not expect an impact of Jermaine Pratt. I do agree with Shawn there. Terrell Bernard is out. Shaq Thompson is in. Marcelino McCrary-Bell, of the Jets. I talked about him during the show this past Tuesday night. He took over as a number 3 linebacker, but then he got hurt, and Kiko Maugoa will be the number 3 linebacker now as McCrary-Ball went to IR. Couple to watch, Bobby Wagner was listed as questionable, including a limited practice on Friday, and Devin Bush is also questionable with a limited practice. So have to see how that plays out. Moving to the defensive line, Alex Wright is in. So welcome back, Alex Wright, in a nice matchup against the Tennessee offensive line. I am playing Alex Wright. Isaiah McGuire is questionable, but he was going back to the bench behind Wright anyway. Zach Allen is in. He showed up on the injury report on Thursday, all of a sudden with a calf problem. On Friday, he returns to full practice, not on the injury report. Devontae Wyatt out with a fractured ankle on IR. Jalen Carter out with 2 shoulder surgeries. Joey Bosa out. Platoon of TJ Sanders and AJ Epinesa to replace him. Trey Hendrickson, Shamar Stewart out again. More Joseph Asai and Miles Murphy, with Cam Sample being back, him mixed in a little bit. Derek Harmon out. So another week of Yaya Black. He had 9 tackles last week. Don't expect that to repeat in terms of that number of tackles, but he should get 3 or 4 tackles. Walter Nolan out. Brandon Darlis out. Brandon Darlis, of Atlanta. Levi Drake Rodriguez out. Tyquan Lewis also changed to out yesterday. Might give a slight bump in snaps as a result to Latu Pay. Probably not playing Pay, but going after, still playing Latu. Also on the edge, Max Crosby is questionable, limited in practice. He's in the late window as well, so make sure you have another option. He's supposed to play, but just in case. Then you have folks like James Pearson, David Onyemata questionable. We'll have to see the reports coming out in about 25 minutes or so. Mason Graham questionable, but expected to play. 2 more questionable ones to watch, Travon Walker and Eric Armstead. We'll come back and talk a little bit about the defensive backs a little bit later, Shawn. But let's go ahead and jump into some of these questions first. And Rougarou, I accidentally clicked his wasn't first on the list, but Rougarou, you get to be first because you're a regular anyway. Good morning, gents. Who dat to you, Rick? You got it, buddy. Who dat to you as well? I got a bye locked in the MFL and eliminated in Sleeper. Woof. Thanks for all your help. We'll take the credit for the MFL win, and you should have listened to Sports Sleeper, Rougarou. We'll just go with that.
I also have some eliminations locked up this week.
All righty. Bird says, morning, boys. Bird here in Boulder, Colorado. Thanks for letting us know where you are. Appreciate you must have been listening last week when I was asking people to let us know where y'all live. Oh, that was actually 2 weeks ago. Last week we were asking about Thanksgiving desserts. Boulder's a beautiful area. No major questions because he's got his bye lucked up and will most likely be the number 1 seed and high score because of our help this year. That's
nice.
Fantastic, Bird. Glad we could help out and wish you success in the playoffs. I hope that great success continues. Oh, now he does have a question. He's used Hurts all year, but he's been struggling. He picked up Burrow and stashed, a very smart move. What are your thoughts on using Burrow for the playoffs? Shawn, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, if I have Burrow, I'm probably starting him up. As long as he's healthy, I expect him to really put up some good numbers here at the end of the year.
Yeah, their defense, which has played a little bit better recently, but has for the most part struggled. We'll give them 2.
I'll give them 1.5 tops.
1.5, fair enough. So as long as their defense continues to struggle, I think that means Burrow's going to have to throw. And if you go back to last year, they were putting up over 30-some points and still losing. And Burrow was putting up the stats. He's had a week already back to kind of knock some of the rust off. So I'd feel very good playing Burrow. And the way it's more the Philadelphia, well, it's a combination of Philadelphia offense and Hurts really struggling, both of them, Shawn.
Yeah.
So unless they really change play calling, which supposedly Sirianni was more involved this week, although Petula's still going to play the calls, I'm comfortable playing Burrow right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Hurts, his rushing upside hasn't been there like it has in the past. Not all the touchdowns, or that offense is definitely struggling. And it's unless you're getting the big bonuses for for the rushing stuff and all that. You know what? I still think Burrow is going to outdo him, no matter the rushing stats. Burrow's going to sling it. He's going to put up numbers. I'm probably starting him the rest of the playoffs over Hurts, regardless of the matchups.
All right. And now he has one more for us, Darren Waller and Mark Andrews. Boy, I wouldn't want to rest my playoff hopes on Darren Waller, to be honest with you. He could pull a hamstring or something along those lines any game. Shawn?
He's also going to get 8-10 targets.
He hasn't been. He didn't last week for sure.
Yeah, that's Yeah, the Dolphins is another struggling team. He immediately came in and was one of the top targets, but yeah, going against the Jets in New York. Yeah, I'll take Andrews on this one.
The Pittsburgh Steelers haven't exactly been a robust defense against tight ends as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and particularly for this week, and that's who Andrews is going against. Um, I don't know. I'm Andrews on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on Andrews. Yeah, Waller, when he's healthy, he can be a lot, but when he's not, he could also get hurt mid game. So it's cold up in New York. That's where they're playing. Probably tighten his hamstring up and tear it. I'm not wishing anything. I'm just saying the odds are high.
All right, let's go to Fantasy Breakout here. And Fantasy Breakout says, "Hi guys, hello to you as well. Pick your two favorite linebackers for this week out of Oluokun, Schlesinger, Eric Wilson, who I had to admit I think we were a little bit too low on last week, Shawn.
I would say so.
So, and he says he needs a high tackle four with upside playing against Gibbs. So Gibbs got off a strong start on Thursday night against him. And also, what is our outlook for TJ Edwards rest of season? So we'll take these one at a time, Shawn. So out
All
of
right.
four linebackers, Oluokun, Schlesinger, Wilson, and Ellis, who are you looking for this week for a high tackle floor?
It has been Schlesinger. However, the Titans are awful. And by awful, I mean they can't sustain drives, can't run enough plays. So he's actually in jeopardy this week. But
He
he
is
does have some big play. So I'm a little more nervous than normal for him, I guess is what I'm going at. Aluakun doesn't have the greatest of matchups either.
Ellis doesn't really have the greatest of matchups.
I, I'm actually out on Ellis. Right. Out of this group, Ellis is my easiest elimination here. Just the numbers just haven't been there consistently from week to week. Wilson, I like. I think it's Wilson, and then I'm down to Aluakun or Schlesinger.
The thing where I'm leaning towards Oluokun, if you really think that the narrative is going to be that with all the rain, that they're going to run the ball more in this game. So we'll see more Taylor, more Etienne, more Tootin. That should create more opportunities for folks like Oluokun and Franklin and so forth because of the weather. If you believe that if the rain is as hard as it says and it's going to be a problem during the game, there could be a lot more running and sharp passing. So I like Oluokun from that regard.
So you're bitching Schlesinger.
I didn't say that yet.
Okay.
um, God, there's a risk that Tennessee only plays like 44 plays on offense. The thing about it, though, as I'm thinking about that game, could end up being 9-6 between Tennessee and Cleveland.
Yep.
With Cleveland, I just don't see a high-scoring game, and I don't see Cleveland having a whole lot of long possessions either. There could be like 14 punts in this game. And so it's not like it's not like Tennessee. I mean, Cleveland is going up against, say, the Rams.
Right.
So Tennessee might not be able to sustain the drives, but Cleveland might not either. So I'm going to go Schlesinger as well. I'm going to go a little kind of Schlesinger. That's what I just talked myself into, Shawn.
Out on Wilson then.
Wilson is third. Ellis is last.
Against the Jaden Daniels run commanders this week.
I don't.
I'm worried about benching Wilson and him going off again.
Of course, there were several games in a row when he didn't go
That's
off.
true.
And that was part of the reason we were down on him. So was last week a true outlier?
I'm going Schlesinger and Wilson.
You're going Schlesinger and Wilson. Okay, sorry, Fantasy Breakout. We're splitting. We're both going Schlesinger. I'm leaning Luacan. Sean's leading Wilson, man, but we've definitely wrote out Ellis. All right, so let's go to the next one here. With the high tackle floor, did you keep that in mind related to Wilson versus Oluwakan as a side note?
Wilson's tackle floor is lower than Alokin's, but I don't think it's severely lower. Wilson's been pretty solid for 5, 6, 7 tackles, plus the big plays. For Alokin, probably about the same, maybe a little higher. Um, yeah,
Okay.
I'm sticking with it.
All right, TJ Edwards rest of season. Top 20 linebacker, top 30 linebacker. Where do you see TJ Edwards for the rest of the season, Sean?
Top 24 for sure. I just he hasn't been healthy this year, and I think that's concerning. The amount of time he's missed, I think he's liable to miss more time to get hurt again. So I'm personally I'm out on him. But if you have him, he should be solid. Top 20.
No, no Sewell and TJ Edwards.
I
Sewell's
think
been wearing the green dot. Not
yeah, I think Edwards gives you a little better floor than Sewell.
so you would if you had to start between Sewell and Edwards, you would start.
I'd start Edwards
You
as
would
long
still
as he's
start
played.
Edwards.
Yep.
Interesting, because Edmonds was really outperforming him, and
Mhm.
Sewell has moved to Edmonds' role. I see that a little bit differently. Interesting. So rest of season, though, probably about a number 24 to number 30 linebacker in my mind from overall. And my dog is barking like crazy in the background and driving me nuts. I hope y'all can't hear that.
DeMarco Jackson to the moon is what Ricky said.
No, no DeMarco Jackson. No, 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 no. All right. So he's also asking us to rank the following as Kinchins, Cross, Chin, Fitzpatrick this week.
Is this
Chin,
for
we
this
didn't
week
get to
or
it yet. So let's talk about Jeremy Chin real quick. Um, he is questionable. He did not practice on Friday, and he's in the late window. So there's a risk that he doesn't even play. So Sean, why don't you start giving your thoughts while I yell at my dog for a second to stop? Oh.
yeah.
Billy, shut up!
Chin being I think Ricky forgot to mute, but so Nick Cross is probably my top guy here. Just based on production throughout the year. The matchup's decent enough. Kitchens, man, he's been playing more than or better than I thought he would. Actually, getting some tackles. I like Chin if he's healthy. He's second on here for me behind Cross if he's healthy. Fitzpatrick's role is really good. This matchup this week is not. Um, so I'll take Kitchens over Fitzpatrick
So you're Cross, Chin, Kinchins, Fitzpatrick. I'm
for this
probably
week.
for this week. I am probably Cross, Chin, Fitzpatrick, Kinchins. Um, Kinchins did come off the injury report, which was good news. I
Okay.
just think Fitzpatrick playing closer to the line of scrimmage. I like him a little bit more, but for this week. But the real key is Chin. There's a risk that he's inactive, and in the late game, I'm checking to see Fitzpatrick is in the early window, if I remember correctly.
I
Yes,
think
he is.
they're all early except for Chin.
Chin late window.
Yeah.
So the gamble that you're taking, Kinchins is in the late window. So
Yep.
if if Chin doesn't play, you can default to Kinchins, which would be last on my list, third on Sean's list. But that is the risk you're taking with Chin. But we both have Cross and Chin in our top two right now. Okay, fantasy breakout. Good luck with that. And it sounds like I didn't hit mute like I thought I did when I yelled at my dog. So sorry. For some reason, he was going nuts for no reason whatsoever. All right, last one from Fantasy Breakout. Half PPR tight end question. Darren Waller or Colston Loveland? Of course, there'll be no Rome Dunze today. I think Waller only had 3 targets last week for perspective.
I was thinking it was more than that, but I could be wrong.
Let me try to look it up while you're kind of giving your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, the Jets haven't really given up a lot of points to tight ends anyway. Green Bay's been pretty stout against tight ends as well. Now, having Roma Dunze does make this more intriguing. But man, the Dolphins don't really have anybody outside of Waddle either, or Achan. I'm gonna
They didn't
go.
last.
What was it last week?
Right. Um, God, dog, I can't get into my
Oh, okay.
comments.
I thought you had to put it. I'm taking Waller over Loveland.
You're going Waller over Loveland. You're a Waller lover.
I think it comes down to the matchups. I know Dunze's out. Green Bay has actually been pretty stout defensively, not giving up a lot of tight ends, especially over the last few weeks. And Darren Waller is probably the top
Waller had 3 targets last week.
three
Waddle
targets.
had 6. Malik Washington had 5. Achan only had 1, and I expect him to get more than that this week. So um, we're still talking both number 2 type tight ends. Neither one is that sexy, for lack of a better term. Let's see. And from a weather impact, there's no weather impact on the Miami game.
The big
I like
Tyrod shootout. You're not jumping on the Waller train for that.
I'm gonna go Loveland. I'm gonna go Loveland on this one. Sorry, fantasy breakout. We're splitting. At least he's been getting 4 to 5 targets per game, and with on top of that, Odunze out. So that's what has me leading that way. I can see Shawn's argument, and maybe it's because I've been burned by Waller so much in the past. Third Eye, what's up? What's up, fellas? Hope you're doing well. I'm starting Tyke Smith, who had a down game last week. Yes, he did. Who should be my number 2? Winston Jr., Amonwari, Battle, or Winfield?
Ooh.
Tough choices there.
We talked about Cleveland and Tennessee maybe not having enough snaps between all these guys, so I'm a little down on Winston for that.
Well, they won't have sustained drives, but when there's 14 punts in a game, there's going to continue to be 3 or 4 plays. I think they both end up in the 50s in plays. Not at 65, but in the 50s.
I think I like Amonwari out of this group. I like Battle, but he's kind of taking a back seat a little bit with Geno Stone popping off. And with Joe Burrow back, maybe he's on the field less a bit as well. Amonwari, final answer, locking it in.
Amonwari against Atlanta is very intriguing. Julian Love should be back this week. He was activated from IR yesterday.
Yep.
You didn't mention Winfield's name.
Didn't need to.
He had a better game than Tyke last week.
Yeah, I know. I've been down on Winfield. I see Amonwari having a pretty solid game.
I have to admit, I would go Amonwari, Winston, and then Tyke Smith third out of these. That's what my gut's saying. But Winston is a bit of a gamble as well, even though based on who's injured and who's playing and who's not, he should have the same exact role as last week, close to the box, playing in the slot. But I'm gonna go Tyke Smith and Amonwari. It's safer. Winston has some upside, but it has some risks to it as well. So Smith and Amonwari is who we're going to go with. All right, Third Eye has one more. If I have to drop one of the safeties from above going forward, who should that be? Maybe Winston continues his strong performance and continues to start once the Tennessee cornerback returns. So the Tennessee cornerback situation is Jalen Armour Davis is out once again. Marcus Harris, who was in the slot, is playing on the outside. Last week, they played Harris and Darrell Baker on the outside. Xavier Woods was back from injury, and instead of rotating like they did him on the 3 safeties, basically all 3 of them played roughly full-time snaps, with Winston getting the good ones in the slot close to the line of scrimmage. So if Jalen Armour Davis comes back, do they go back to the rotation, or do they bench Xavier Woods, who I believe is a free agent after this year? So that is his question. So let's go back to his safeties real quick here. Would you drop any of those if you had to
I,
drop them?
if I have to drop somebody, I would. I'm leaning Battle, and I really like Battle, but I would actually be okay with dropping him out of this group. It's between him and Winston, but I actually think Winston's job is going to be safe. Um, they've got nothing to play for, so may as well get him in there, get him, playing, get him ready for next season, basically. And his draft capital was decent enough to, I think he'll stay and be a starter. So I'm actually okay with Winston. Amenwari, he was one of the top safeties taken. So he seems to have a pretty defined role on Seattle right now. So battles, his big play hasn't been there where Winfield can get you some of those sacks and some of those other big plays. So I would drop Battle out of this group.
Okay, I'm going to line with you on that as well. And Third Eye has one more question: Mayfield or Jaden Daniels? So you
Oh
have
man,
Baker Mayfield going against my beloved New Orleans Saints, but he hasn't been the same. And of course, he's almost close to having his full wide receiver um, squadron back, but he doesn't have it yet. Igbuka has not done a whole lot lately. Godwin finally started stepping up last week. And you have Jaden Daniels in his first game back against the Minnesota defense, which is not an easy game to come back to. Shawn?
I'm nervous with Daniels. They said there was no damage, ligaments or tears or whatever in his elbow, but that looked pretty nasty. No breaks, which is wild.
But he's playing.
He's playing, which is crazy. I didn't think we'd be here this soon. And Mayfield's banged up. It's actually not an easy matchup against the Saints as far as quarterback goes.
Yeah, because and part of the reason, like I predicted last week, I said the Saints are going to play more than average. They're going to play like 70 snaps. They ended up playing 72 snaps on offense. So when they play 72, that means the other offense isn't on the field as much.
Right. I
I'm going
might.
Bengals in this one.
I think I'm leaning there too. Just rushing upsides there as well. Um, I'm with you. I'm going Daniels as well.
I think McCarthy's going to have a couple of turnovers, set up some easy scores for Washington as well.
Couple
And
sounds
so
low.
let's go with Jane Daniels. All right, let's go with Harry here. Harry says, "Good morning. Three linebackers start, and good morning to you as well, Harry. You already started Jack Campbell, so he needs to
Oh,
start
you're
two
good.
out of an embarrassment of riches with Nate Landman, Devin White, Quay Walker, and Barrett Carter. Walker and White, right off the top of my head, I know don't have the best matchups. I'm not ruling them out, but I'm just saying they don't have the best of matchups. Bills are
Let's
going to
see.
run the ball a lot, I expect today too.
You don't like White's matchup?
I do not. I was looking at some of the numbers, and they're in the bottom fourth. Are the Charger? Are the Denver in terms of giving up points to linebackers? But the one time I didn't start him in a situation like this, he still had a great game.
Had a million tackles. So the as of late, the Cardinals have been giving up the most points to linebackers, which makes Landman a high choice here. But Burt Carter's got a good matchup as well. That was actually the second best matchup here for linebackers this or over the last. I think I've got this set to like the last 3 or 4 weeks is what I've been keeping up with, just to kind of
Yeah,
keep it.
more
Um,
current makes sense. I
yeah,
agree.
Landman and Carter is where I'm at.
And I'm White and Walker. If I need to get into the playoffs, and after seeing Barrett Carter only get 5 tackles and miss a couple last week, granted, for the last 7 games he's had double-digit tackles. If you get on the double-digit side, fantastic. If you don't, it could be a train wreck.
Against the Bills, I feel like they're going to run the ball plenty. They don't have any receivers.
He's still got to tackle the people.
Yeah.
Uh, Wow, this is the most split I think we've been where there's four and we're 2-2 on this one.
I really like those two matchups, man. That's the top two teams giving it up. White White's solid. He's I would probably jump to him over Walker just because Walker was hurt. I know he's healthy to play and all that, but um, I like all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to split hairs here, so I'm looking at the matchups, and the matchups say Landman and Carter. That's what I'm going with. You can't stop me. I'm gonna write this
I'm
one
gonna go
down.
Landman and I'm gonna go Landman and White on this one.
Landman and White.
So Harry, this is really close, and we're stressing this one, and they're all going to have about the same amount of points at the end of the day. But
Campbell
so
did you really good already, so you've got a strong start. So even if we're slightly off on one of these, I think you're still going to be fine.
yeah. But let me ask you one other thing: the Cardinals' offense, no Marvin Harrison, no Greg Darch,
Wasn't using them
no
anyway.
Trey Benson. Yeah, no. Here's my point. My point is now they're relying on Andre Bacalella and Xavier Weaver's also out, so they called up Jalen Brooks and Trent Sherfield from the practice squad. Those are their four wide receivers. Do you think Brissett will keep them enough on the field with that wide receiver core? I think with
Yeah,
Wilson and McBride that Brissett will continue to do it.
yeah. McBride's going to get 12 targets. Wilson's going to get 20. I mean that's what that offense has been. Harrison has missed most of this time with Brissett, and when he's in there, he's not putting up world beater numbers. Wilson's the one making all the catches. McBride's making all the catches. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of short range passing attack, which is where Carter is to get those stops there at the tight ends and the short passes to Wilson and all. So,
No, that's actually Landman, not Carter, on that one.
oh my
Sorry.
bad. That's yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
just want to be clear. All right, so you've heard our arguments, Harry. I'm leaning Landman and White. Shawn's leaning Landman and Carter. You should probably be okay either way. And
Realistically, you're good.
yeah. And now his next question is: should I hold on to linebackers I have, or for playoff week 15 through 17, replace any of them with T.J. Edwards, who has been okay with the possibility of Edmonds coming up? Well, if Edmonds come back, he'll bench Noah Sewell,
Mm-hmm.
so not T.J. Edwards. So that wouldn't be a factor. But I don't know if I'm picking up Edwards over any of the four in the previous question, Shawn.
No, I'm keeping the four you got. And we're splitting hairs to decide which two to pick because they're all good, or all pretty good options. TJ Edwards in that group is probably at the bottom of the barrel there.
Okay. Oh, and I didn't look far enough down. Harry gave his scoring system, which appreciate you doing, Harry. This has 10 points for a sack, solo tackle, 5 points, assist 3. Does that change any of our thought process from earlier?
No, because Landman is probably the best option to get a turnover out of that group.
That with his forced fumble and his peanut punches that he's done at least 2 times this year.
Yeah, so that actually solidifies him as the number two without question. We were splitting over the third guy, so Barrett Carter, Devin White, they both put up high tackle games. So yeah, they're pretty even.
Okay, so ectoplasm music. We're going to pick up the pace, man, and I've been making it slow. Here's his scoring: 1.5 and 3/4, but big play scoring. So I'm assuming that means big plays for sacks, but he didn't give us the point numbers on that one. Start one out of Henley, Cooper, Barrett, Carter. Given big play scoring format, would you trust Skirton or James Pearson the flexes over these linebackers in the coming playoff weeks? I don't think I can trust either one of those two. And Pierce's question was we talked about earlier.
Yeah, Pierce has actually been on a decent roll with sacks per game, but that's sack or nothing basically. There's not a whole
It's
yeah.
boomer bust. Yeah, exactly.
But Hindley has not been good. Cooper has not been as good as we had hoped.
For today specifically, I'm starting Barrett Carter.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Um, I'm really off on Henley. Really off on Henley.
Yeah.
Um,
Henley's way down the list. He's basically a linebacker 4 at this point in time. He's down
yeah,
there, not quite as far down as Terrell Bernard, but they're both way down there.
they're getting closer every day. Would well, let's say you had to start two of these. Would you have picked Scorden over Edger and Cooper or
No, I'd
Henley?
still pick Cooper.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, Skirton, I saw a couple of his sacks and he kind of lucked into them.
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like he beat the tackle and got, blah, blah, blah.
But he's on a bye anyway. I was just
Yeah. Um, but I'd go Carter, Cooper, Pierce, Henley, Skirton would be my order.
I'm right there with you. I would take a shot at Pierce over Henley right now, just because he could give me a big play.
Now, part of the issue is the Chargers' defense has just not been on the field a lot. So Henley's not being as efficient when he's on the field for tackles, and they're not on the field a lot. So there's been several games where they've been in the 50 range in terms of snaps, which is about 3/4 of a game.
Pierce is
Uh,
playing.
Pierce is active. Okay, gotcha. All right, M. Rand is asking, needs 2 starting safeties for this week and for the rest of the playoffs. 3 points for tackles, 15 points for a sack. Love, Tyke Smith, and Chamari Connor.
Oh boy.
15 points for a sack. That I'm going Connor and Smith on this list for the two.
I think I'm sticking with those two as well. I don't know that how Love will be deployed with them and Worry having a bigger role now. I feel like he will beat him to the punch on some of that. Yeah, I think I'm going with you. Love's another big name that had a decent start to the season that just hasn't been healthy. Nothing big on inactive so far that I've seen outside of
Yeah,
some offense.
that's what I was just trying to do a quick check on so far in terms of what's been reported here.
Josh
Okay.
Palmer, Parker Washington, those guys are out. Kincaid is active. That's about the best names I got for y'all right now.
All right. Jeff is asking us, welcome, Jeff. Pick 2 out of AD. Anthony Davis just keeps on coming to mind. Brian Thomas, McLaurin, and Keenan Allen. AD, help me out, man.
Mitchell.
Oh, Adonai Mitchell. Okay, got it. I had to think for a second there. Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas, McLaurin, and Keenan Allen. I can't trust Brian Thomas.
With Jaden Daniels coming back, I'll put McLaurin up there at the top of this list.
I will agree with that.
With Justin Herbert being banged up, it's between Mitchell and Allen, which is not where I thought we'd be at this point of the year. Thomas is last.
Yeah, Thomas is last for me also. In that the Jets in this game against
Dolphins,
Miami, right? Yeah, against Miami.
You got the Chargers against Philly.
Keenan Allen's been great for a good solid 7 points or so each of the last several weeks from where he started the year.
Mitchell gives you a higher ceiling, I think.
Yeah, so if you think you need a ceiling, I think Mitchell probably gives you the best chance. And not to mention, they talked about Trey Lance being the red zone quarterback potentially as well. And so if Keenan Allen's going to get a touchdown, that just doesn't make me feel nearly as comfortable either. McLaurin, AD, Keenan Allen, Brian Thomas, and Thomas is particularly with the weather call-outs and all. That's another reason why I have Thomas last.
With you. Totally with you there.
Jeff has a couple more questions coming here. Let's try and get through these pretty quickly here. Derwin James or Kyle Hamilton? Hamilton against Pittsburgh, James against the Eagles.
Neither one of those sound great. Hamilton. I have no further analysis.
I'm going with Hamilton. The Steelers are going to still try and run the ball. Aaron Rodgers is going to start trying to throw those short passes. Hamilton's playing close to the line of scrimmage. I'm going to run with Hamilton on this one as well. Okay, Jeff has, like I said, one more. Oluwakan, Cashman, or Cedric Gray? Boy, Cashman has been putting up double-digit tackles. He just missed
Cash
that one last week, but
Cashman's the easy one. Uh, it's between Gray and Foyer, and the other reason I'm hesitant here is because of the matchup with Cleveland for Gray, who I do think will try to establish to run the ball. I'll take Gray over Foyer.
Cashman, Gray, Foyer, we are aligned, sir. Fresh Prince says, good morning. Missed you last week, but I'm back. We are glad to have you back. Hufanga, Cam Curl, or Jeremy Chin? And there's the scoring system with 5 points for a tackle, 10 points for an interception, 10 for a sack, 1 for a PD, pass to defense.
I will take Curl, Chin, Hufanga.
Is Hufanga last because the Raiders' offense and the
Yes.
opportunity to stay on the field?
Yes.
Yeah, that is my biggest concern with Hufanga as well. Is will he get enough snaps with the Raiders? Because their offense has been so bad, their offensive line has been so bad. Now, if I have some front seven players for the Raiders, that's a little bit different. I mean, for the Broncos, it's a little bit different. But for Hufanga and Brandon Jones, not feeling nearly as good.
Yeah, I'm starting that line. It's the entire defensive backfield I'm worried about as well.
Yeah. Now, if in case you were late, Fresh Prince, we talked about the fact a little bit earlier that Jeremy Chin is questionable, did not practice on Friday. He's in the late window. The good news is Hufanga is also in the late window. So if Chin is out, pivot to Hufanga, but make sure you're watching the inactives to adjust your lineup. All right. Jonathan, who we've been communicating on via X. How you doing, Jonathan? Glad to have you on the show as well. Bobby Wagner, Servasia, TJ Edwards, Barrett Carter, Alex Singleton. He needs 2. And he's saying for the rest of season. With this group, because you don't have some standouts, it's hard to go rest of season on this, Jonathan. I would be taking it on a week by week basis with this group. If we were talking about Jordan Brooks and Blake Cashman and Zach Bond, Jack Campbell, that might be different. But these are probably a step below. So I'd take it on a week by week basis for these. So Shawn, for this week, Carter, Singleton.
I think so. Dennis has kind of fell off a bit. Edwards.
He did have a good game last week, but that was an outlier last week.
Yeah. The previous weeks before that, he has not been good. Wagner, I like. Wagner's right there with Singleton and Carter for me.
Okay, so Wagner is in the early window, and so we need to see if he's active.
We'll look that up.
We'll do a quick check on that. We're both trying to help you out real fast on this. Washington. Come on, Washington, where are you? Hold please for everybody else. We apologize. Washington.
He looks active.
Wagner looks to be active. So with that knowledge, are you changing your recommendations? I might go Carter and Wagner.
That's where I'm leaning, just because of that putrid Raiders defense or offense. Yeah.
Carter and Wagner is our recommendation, Jonathan. Good luck. And this is this basically looks like the same question, but for the rest of the season. So come back. Let's do this on a week by week basis, Jonathan. So come back next week and we'll answer for next week as well. Okay, BJG. Hello there. Cole Bishop or Evan Williams, a defense in a balanced scoring system. And greetings from Austria. That's freaking awesome.
Oh, nice.
Welcome from Austria, man. So glad to have you.
I'm leaning Cole Bishop here.
I'm thinking about the matchup here for a second.
It's not overly great for either one.
Yeah, you're right. Evan Williams should play 100% of the snaps this week because there's a high probability Bullard's out, and we can check to see if Bullard's out as well officially yet. Not real quick yet. All right, I'm still going to go with Bishop over this one, over Evan Williams on this one. Okay. All right. Ted Allen says, "Hi guys, and there's a scoring system. Need two from Roquan, Ernest Jones, or drop for Schlesinger, Barrett Carter, Caden Ellis, Sherwood, Demario Davis, Quay Walker Edwards." Clearly, this is one of those very shallow leagues. I believe we talked about that with Ted last week here.
That
Uh,
happened.
Shawn just had a technical difficulty there. We'll
I
give him a second.
think I'm fine with Roquan and Ernest right now. Schlesinger's got a questionable matchup. I've been talking about Carter a lot, but when you have Roquan, Ernest Jones, it kind of changes things up a bit. Sherwood, I don't know what's going on there. Uh, it feels weird. I'm trying to avoid that situation if I can. It looks like you can. Mario Davis is probably the
Dave's been
third guy on
averaging
this
about
list.
10, he's been averaging about
Yeah.
10 tackles a game of the last several weeks.
Yep.
So for this week, you still going Ernest Jones over Demario Davis?
With Bucky
I
Irving
know
coming
Ernest
back.
Jones had that big week last week.
Yeah, it was more of that interception, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's against.
But it was a blowout game. Ernest Jones is going against Atlanta. So
That's
expect a decent
a lot of run.
Bijan and
Yeah,
Algier. Let's go with Roquan and Ernest Jones with Demario Davis actually third this week.
yeah,
Okay.
that's
Right.
where I'm at.
Good luck, Ted. Chase says, "Laugh out loud." I wish I remember what specifically it was.
That was you yelling at your dog.
Oh, yeah, I got it. And Red Herring said, "Ricky, Chin's got that dog in him." I see what he did there. That's pretty good. Thanks, guys. I deserve that. It's rare that I yell at my dog, but he never barks during the show. He decided to start barking today, and I forget to go on mute. My bad. Okay, Jonathan, he's asking another rest of season question. With these names, once again, there's so many good names. I take it on a week-to-week basis. Which ones of these are you doing for this week, Shawn? I know he's asking for rest of season, but these names are too close to do for a full rest of season here.
I think I like Chin and Emanwari the most this week.
This week, I'm with you.
And that could change, but more than likely, Chin's going to be on the field a lot, so he's probably your top guy the rest of the season. Just quick thinking on this, and then it's probably going to fluctuate between the other three.
Yeah. So the thing with Chin is in the late winners. We talked about Iman Wari's in the early window, but you do have. Let's see. You do have Derwin James to fall back to on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens that Chin is out. So Chin and Iman Wari this week, assuming both are playing. Okay. Ooh, this was an interesting. Malachi Moore, Kevin Winston Jr. In one of my leagues, they were both on waivers. I actually picked up Winston over Moore.
I will take Moore this week. Just this week, because the Dolphins have
What are
been.
you smoking, man? Are you crazy? But go ahead.
It's the matchups against the Dolphins. The safeties are putting up numbers. Even though the Dolphins don't play a whole lot of snaps every week, the safeties seem to be the one getting the points. And then with Winston, we've talked about that game and off. So this would be the 1 week I would take Moore over Winston. Going forward, as long as Winston has that starting spot locked up, I'm taking him over Moore.
I must say,
Ricky knows he just doesn't want to agree with me.
no, Angus Khan, I am so sorry to do this to you, man, but we're going to split. I'm on Winston. The last two games where he's gotten that great playing positioning, he's done extremely well from tackles and also gotten a big play sack. I think with the Browns,
Gets Tua throwing an interception.
yeah, I am not counting on Tua throwing an interception to Malachi Moore this week. All right, I'm going Winston still. I think they're going to try and run the ball a lot to Judkins. They hardly throw the ball to the outside to Tillman and Judy. They throw more to Fannin.
Fannin, yeah,
and dump offs to Ford/Simpson. I'm going Winston on this one. So Angus Consar, we split on you.
I'm actually gonna fix this. I'll go Winston too to help you out.
All right, good deal. All right, Shawn came around to the right answer. Boy, I'm sure Angus kind of hope we're not steering you wrong. Good morning, Marcus. Hope you're well. Also, Jeffrey Simmons or Tuli Tuipulotu with 3 points for a sack and one for a tackle. And he says, thank you for all the help this season. Glad to help out, and we'll be continue on into the fantasy playoffs as well, Shawn. So who are you going with, Simmons or Tuli T today
I
with
will
that
take
scoring system?
Simmons because if he doesn't get me that sack for 3 points, he will get me enough tackles to make up for it, where Thule usually does not.
And you've gone against the Eagles. Now, the Eagles' offensive line hasn't been the same with Lane Johnson out and Becton, they were struggling with in that spot. So those two are out. But even with that, I'm going to go with Jeffrey Simmons as well over Thule. Okay, that is your answer that we're going with, Marcus, and good luck to you, sir. Shawn is saying, thoughts on Dallas Turner compared to Chase Young, sack heavy scoring, week 14 and rest of playoffs. Similar to the other ones, boy, I hate, without studying the week by week, I don't want to just give a generic one for the rest of the season. So let's just talk
Well,
about this week, Shawn.
Turner's dependent on Greenard and Van Ginkel most weeks if they're playing or not. So that limits him to being that rotational third guy. So more than likely, we're taking Young most weeks, who has been getting sack or half sack about every week. It feels like, even against some of the tough matchups, he's been kind of delivering a sack. So that's good. That's what I want. However, if one of those guys from Minnesota is out, depending on the matchup, I might throw Turner in there over him. But that's a week to week thing.
Yeah, and so for this week in particular, I'm going Chase Young. I was just double checking while you're talking. Jonathan Grenard is active.
Yes.
They were easing him back in. Plus, with the game being a blowout last week, I expect him to get closer to his normal snap count. Grenard, not all the way to the 80s, maybe at least in the 60s. That's going to take away from Dallas Turner some. I'd
Mhm.
rather go with Chase Young with no Tristan Wirfs this week for Tampa Bay.
And a
But
banged up Mayfield.
yes, exactly right. So we're going to go with Chase Young for sure this week. And Shawn did bring up a good point with Grenard and Van Ginkel healthy, but still, I'd look at it on a week to week basis just to make sure. Okay, Ted is also asking us needs one running back and two wide receivers and one flex. And he's given us quite a bit of folks: Judkins, Harvey, Hampton, Vidal, Pittman, Brian Thomas, Godwin, Jalen Reed, Burden. So there's a lot of those we can knock out pretty quick. Let's pick the running back first out of Judkins, Harvey, Hampton, and Vidal. Hampton and Vidal could be a platoon. Don't want to take a chance on that. It's Judkins or Harvey for me. Shawn, I think I'm leaning Judkins on this one.
I am right there with you. Although Harvey's given me a strong case to maybe start him, I would feel solid with Judkins starting though.
I think Harvey might end up being the flex out of this. So at wide receiver, Pittman, BTJ, Godwin, Jaden Reed, or Burden. Not playing Reed in this first game back, not taking a chance on Burden. BTJ is hard to trust. I think it's Godwin and Pittman, even in the bad
Well,
weather.
yeah, this is not good.
I'm going to go with who's going to play the most snaps with the most opportunities, and that's
That'd
Godwin
be
right now.
that'd probably be Pittman between those two.
Would you drop any of those for Adonai Mitchell and start him?
Probably not. Not rest of the season anyway. No, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, Pittman, Godwin. There's your two receivers. Now your flex. We're down to Harvey against one of those guys.
Yeah,
It's Harvey.
it'd be, yeah, it's Harvey for me. Yeah, absolutely. I would consider actually AD Mitchell over Jaden Reed. And the reason is the Packers, with all the receivers they have and all the mouths they're trying to feed and all the rotations they do, I just don't expect Reed to get that much run. He'll get one good game. Good luck picking which one.
I think Reed will actually do pretty solid with the loss of Tucker Kraft being out. I think he will
I,
maybe pick up some short range receptions with all the other receivers. Christian Watson's your deep guy, right?
Watson and Dobbs and Reed and Wicks and Golden, I don't see him sticking out enough out of those. And this goes back to the same problem they had last year. So there's our argument, Ted. If you and with Odunze potentially being out for a while, wouldn't drop Burden. Let's see how this thing's play out this week.
Realistically, Odunze will miss the rest of our fantasy season.
They didn't put him on IR though, so I don't know if I'm 100% there with you.
It's a real possibility that it could happen. Is I guess what I was going at. So I'm treating it like he's
so keep Burden. In other words, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Agreed. Okay. All righty. Jonathan says, doing great. I'm glad you are and hope you're doing well. And Dale Sullivan, I don't know if we've had Dale before. If we haven't, if we have, I apologize, but welcome, Dale. Good morning. He said start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Out of Egbuka, Christian Watson, Ladd, BTJ, Kenneth Walker.
Hey, you got it.
Yeah, I remember this week, finally. I almost said Kyron Williams again. I'm playing Michael Wilson.
Yep.
As one of my wide receivers. Am I going to trust Ladd I expect Justin Herbert to play.
Mm-hmm.
I expect him to play out of the shotgun a lot because of
probably the entire game.
I think I'm still taking Ladd over Egbuka is just falling off a cliff.
Yes.
I know Watson has been a little bit more consistent, but I just talked about all the Packer receivers, and we do have Reed now back as well, and Golden is going to be active as well. So I'm going Wilson and McConkey on this one as my 2 receivers. Now, who are you going with for the flex out of this one, Shawn?
I'm actually leaning Watson over Walker. Against Philly?
No, Green Bay is not Philly.
Kenneth Walker is playing. Who's he playing? Atlanta.
Whose defense is just absolutely falling apart.
Yeah, that's true. I like Watson's big playability, though. And I think they'll need it this week.
All right, so you're going to go with Watson. Okay.
And Walker is right there.
Walker close for me. So it's Wilson and Ladd as the receivers, and Watson by a hair over Kenneth Walker. If you feel better about the running back and maybe more of the guaranteed touches, do that. You also heard the Packers argument I made a little bit earlier. If that made you uncomfortable, then go with Walker. But if you're like Watson's still going to be the primary target, then go with Watson. Okay, start Kevin Winston Jr. The answer from us would be yes, with the caveat of we don't know who you'd be benching. So that's the one thing, but we feel really good about Kevin Winston for this week. This week is a key term because of who's out. Juice Man DJ says, good morning. My current dilemma is Malachi Moore, Evan Williams, or Jaquan Brisker. I know you professed your love for Malachi Moore earlier. Brisker did have a good game last week, but it's been one of the few that he's had. He hasn't been having the number of good games.
I do not trust Brisker at all. I'm out on Brisker.
Yeah,
I'm taking Moore.
I'm going Malachi Moore in this one as well. Juice Man
Williams. Yep.
All right, Angus kind of just laugh out loud. Thanks, guys. All right, appreciate that, man. Mandatory username 72. He's got a roster by 9-5, could get a bye or not make the playoffs in a 2014 league. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I think we helped him with quarterbacks last week, and you were right when you called Tyrod Taylor.
That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. Or was that 2 weeks ago? Whichever it was, you called Tyrod Taylor right. I went with Ward.
I think it was last week. Yeah, it was.
And I was
you went Ward.
Yeah, and I was wrong.
Yep.
So Trey Lance, Riley Leonard, Mariota, or Deshaun Watson. Oh gosh,
who gets more points this week? It's not Watson.
Watson won't play. So Watson is not going to play. So he hasn't been activated from the 21-day, whatever. So do you believe Jaden Daniels gets re-hurt, or does Daniel Jones get hurt? The only one that has maybe a guaranteed chance of getting points is Trey Lance because the team has come out and announced that they're going to use him in the red zone, or at least he was practicing for red zone with Justin Herbert's hand injury.
Mhm.
So if I'm taking a chance, I think I got to go Trey Lance on this one.
Yeah.
Daniel's practice in full. Daniel Jones practice in full. Both are completely off the injury reports.
Yeah. Trey Lance.
And I mean, maybe you get lucky and he runs in a 1 yard quarterback sneak for a touchdown because they don't want Herbert getting his hand hit.
I
That's,
really hope Trey Lance doesn't come in to throw a touchdown and throws a pick six and cost this guy his playoffs.
don't jinx that. That's horrible.
It might be better to start Watson and get the guaranteed 0 over the negative.
I have more confidence that Trey Lance will at least get something positive. It might be point two. Okay, so HD Jones is asking start one out of Winfield, Winston, Imanwari, Derwin, or Chin. Of course, we've talked about Chin quite a bit on the questionable tag. Out of these, Winston and Imanwari, which one?
uh, Chin.
Okay. Assuming Chin, if Chin is
Chin
inactive.
is active. I'm pretty sure
No,
I've seen that.
he's in the later window. He's in the later window.
Is he?
Yeah, so
I
yeah,
thought I've
no.
seen. Hang on, I may be getting my names mixed up here. Okay. Yeah, without Chin, I'll take Edmund Worry over Winston.
I think I'd lean Imanwari as well. And if he does decide to roll with Chin and Chin is out, then it's Derwin James. The risk with Chin, for all those that
Yeah.
have been listening and watching, is even if he's active, remember, he didn't practice either Thursday or Friday. So he truly could be limited and he may not be full Chin. So that's the other thing to consider on this. I have a full Chin. In fact, I should have had my jaw broken and reset, but that's a whole different story for another time. Edward, man, I haven't been pounding the table and the desk. At least I hope I haven't been. I hope you're doing well, man. Have Julian Love back. Should have dropped safety Ronnie Hickman, Cleveland, or cornerback Alante Taylor for New Orleans.
So we're just clearing a roster spot here, I guess.
Yeah, he has to activate him from IR, is my guess.
I'm fine with dropping Taylor. I know Taylor's one of the better corners, but
If you have a cornerback required league, I'm keeping Taylor and dropping Hickman.
yeah, 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 because I'm
That's
going to play Love over Hickman probably most
Yeah,
weeks.
and Love will definitely play over Hickman. Yeah, so that's how I do it. Our order would be, well, I'd probably keep Taylor over Hickman to be honest with you.
Would you?
Yeah, Hickman gets a couple of games, but he's playing like 75% of his snaps deep, and
Right.
with that defense, so I'd go Love, Taylor, Hickman, regardless of the cornerback position, Edward. And good luck to you, man. Paul Martin Infante says pick two linebackers to start. Henry Thompson, Carter, Peyton, Wilson, and with Patrick Queen active.
Shaq Thompson, Barrett Carter.
With Wilson being platooning, even though he's been efficient most games, I'm going to go with the guys that are mostly 100% with Thompson and Carter, and Henley just hasn't been doing it for us. So we are aligned on that. Binge Mains, and hopefully, Binge, you heard my apology on the broadcast, as well as what I put into the YouTube comments from this past week's show. Jeff Simmons, Jonathan Cooper, or Chase Young, and I'm looking for scoring system. I don't see it.
I'll take the two edge rushers this time.
Denver against that Raiders defense. So you think Cooper's going to get a sack before he goes out the game?
At least one.
All right. This is really, really tight for me, but I'm going to lean Cooper and Young, particularly with no Tristan Wirfs for the Tampa Bay offensive line.
Now, if you're not getting that many points, 4 sacks, then Simmons is the better play. But
okay, yeah. Let's say sacks are low, would you go Cooper or Chase Young with Simmons?
I'm still taking Cooper on that matchup against the Raiders.
Simmons, Cooper, Young. Exactly. I keep on thinking about the Browns, and when I broadcast, it was easier and I did a recap. It was easier to talk about who didn't get a sack than who did get a sack. And
Right.
so many people had gotten sacks in the game. Shaq Thompson, Barrett Carter, T.J. Edwards.
Edwards is the odd man out.
Yeah, Thompson and Carter it is. We are aligned there. Iman Warrior Winston.
Emin Worry.
Iman Warrior. Okay, so he needs a tight end. He's got bye week issues. So Barner or Goddard as his tight end, P. Ryan or Ty Johnson. This is in a half PPR. Goddard is touchdown or bust the last several. Well, early in the week earlier in the year he was getting more targets, but lately he hasn't been getting the targets or the TDs.
And Barner's had some pretty solid games. I don't know about
Atlanta. That's fallen apart on defense.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with Barner.
I think I'm going Barner over Goddard as well. The only way Goddard scores more is if he gets a touchdown. If you're feeling lucky that Goddard's going to get a touchdown against the Chargers defense, play him. But otherwise, go with Barner.
With them trying to feed A.J. Brown and keep Devonta Smith in there, it's Goddard's the odd man out, or has been as of late.
All right. P. Ryan or Ty Johnson in a matchup in snowy conditions that we talked about earlier in the show.
Ty Johnson.
I'm going Ty Johnson as well because we're talking about the Cincinnati defense and they've struggled against some of these running backs catching the ball and so forth. All right, Ted Allen says, thanks to confirm, don't drop Vidal for Devin Neal rest of the season and hold his handcuff to Hampton. Alvin Kamara is supposed to come back. I think Neal will get some play, but Hampton come back from injury right now. I'd keep Vidal as well. Shawn?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's the right way to do it.
Also drop Drayden Reed. Have him in IR. We need to drop a second one to add Adonai Mitchell rest of the season. Because of that additional context, Ted, I would wait the 1 week, see how Jaden Reed gets used this week, and then make the call after this week. That's what I would do. Okay. Edward says thanks, and Ben says I did hear you, and he did give his scoring system. Okay, I don't think that's going to change any of our answers from previous.
No, 6 points for a sack. Yeah, I'm sticking with the edge rushers.
With Cooper and Chase Young for sure. I agree. Mandatory username setting at 72. That's my thinking too. Not great. I'm going to be pulling for Trey Lance. I'm confident I'm not playing him in any leagues. I'm pulling for Trey Lance for you, man. So next week you need to come back and let us know, did you make it, and how to turn out. I know it's so gross no one's available. Yeah.
We've been there.
Yeah, we've all had those opportunities. Is Jonathan Grenard worth a stash for the playoffs over keeping Joseph Asai?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Grenard, I know he hasn't had the sacks that he had last year or early in the year before his injury, but I'd much rather Grenard. Osai's last game, I think I talked about in the show this past Tuesday night that I recorded.
That was a career game.
That was a career game is exactly right. That's what I called it. And mandatory user says is going to, he wraps it up by saying, it would be funny.
Yeah. I hope I didn't bring that into existence.
If Shawn jinxed you and that happens, I'm going to give you his address of where you can send a special package. Crap.
Luckily, I just moved, and I will be giving Ricky my old address.
Oh, shoot. All right, let's call it a wrap here, folks. All right, we will still be doing our start-sit show this coming Tuesday night. Shawn will be able to join me, which is fantastic news. We'll be releasing it at like 5:30 a.m. Central Wednesday morning. So we'll be talking about snap counts, defense player alignments, injuries. We might even talk about Trey Lance and how that worked out. All righty. So that wraps up our Week 14 start-sit show. Give me a follow at Ricky Rod 66, Shawn at Shawn 8386. Watch out for that IDP advice show on Wednesday morning. Join us again next week. Even if you're out of the playoffs, come join us. Let us know how it went. Let us know your hard luck story, whatever. We'd love to hear them as well. and because we'll certainly be back. With that, folks, on behalf of Shawn, I'm Ricky. Have a great week 14. Hopefully you win, whether it be the playoffs or that game you need to get into the playoffs. Good luck, everybody.